I had the great honor and privilege of attending the AEW Blood and Guts event live in person in Detroit, Michigan. I went there with a buddy to check out the show. I live not too far away. I did travel to the city, got some pizza while I was there, and I went and checked out a hell of a fucking show. I did put out a full, and I mean full, in depth, deep dive review and reaction to the entire event, from pizza slices to up through Rampage. But I did want to, so I would encourage you, if you want to hear the full story of just what it was like to be at that crazy event, it looked, from what you've seen on TV, if you want to hear kind of the behind the scenes of the whole thing, certainly go check that out. It is on the podcast feed, both audio and video, as well as right here in this playlist on YouTube if you're watching it there too. So go check out the deep dive, but I did want to just tack on a few extra final thoughts on this and just kind of take advantage of my time, being there and just, kind of throw in my last 2 cents with this whole thing, because after a couple days and just seeing all the reviews online of the show and everybody talking about it, all the different podcasters and YouTubers and whatever just reviewing it, to being able to watch it now on TV, plus now Rampage has been out, and that fucking finish for the Battle Royal, the 2-ring Rampage Rumble or Royal Rampage or whatever, where Brody Lee, I was dying to tell you guys that in the other review that I did, but I didn't want to spoil Rampage. But this was fucking shocking, that elimination. Like, I guess, everybody expected a big star to take the win in the crowd, if it was going to be Darby or Hangman probably. But that elimination where he was just sleepering him, but like dangling him over the edge of the ring and then just drops him. It was so shocking. Like the crowd all like, I don't know if you noticed, like I haven't gone back and watched Rampage yet. I have watched Dynamite, but I don't know if the crowd sounded quiet or audibly like unsure what, like we didn't know what to think about that. Everybody around me was kind of quiet at first, but then you could tell like people started reacting to the elimination. So it was like people were quiet at first because I think we wanted and expected Darby to win. Plus, like, because Brody hasn't really been built up, so it's kind of out of nowhere that Brody got it. But I respected that finish. Like, it was shocking, surprising, but it was like such a cool, unique, and like brutal finish that you almost like accepted it and were like, okay, he earned it. Brody, like he made you a believer just in that elimination. So I thought that was so cool. But I just kind of wanted to circle back around and comment on like just the privilege of being there, because this appears to now, the way everybody's talking about it and kind of seeing it play out on TV, watching the Dynamite, because it is one thing to be there, but then to see it and how the action's called and how it's presented and everything like that. I do believe that this is going to go down as one of the more historical shows in AEW history. Detroit brought it. Like, they were wild. It sounded and felt wild in the crowd, like while you're there, but you never know, and Tony Khan had came out multiple times. He always comes out and talks to the crowd a little bit, but he did come out multiple times and he just kept saying, like, you guys are such a great crowd He said we were one of the best crowds. I'm sure he says that to all the girls. I said that in my review, but it sounded very genuine. He was very like happy with how crazy our crowd was, and I felt like we were, and it came across on TV. Like, Detroit was wild. They fucking brought it to the level of like a Chicago or a New York, or like, name your hot wrestling city, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Detroit put themselves on the map for this one. The venue was dope. The Little Caesars Arena was great to be in. The whole event was just phenomenal. It was just such a cool thing. And again, I know I'm kind of generalizing here, so if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, you're not really going into any kind of detail, I did tell that whole thing. I'm gonna actually put that down in the at the end of the video, actually, as like the next video to watch, the recommended. So check that out if you're watching on YouTube, or just click over to it on the podcast feed if you're there, to kind of hear the in-depth. But I just, you know what, like, I really feel honored to have been a part of that. And it sounds cheesy to say, but like, wrestling's every week, right? 52 shows a year, and only a handful of them at most are rememberable at the end of the year, or even less years from now. I really think like this Blood and Guts event is going to be one of those that will be, on, I almost said, on future DVDs or something. They don't really do that anymore, but you get what I'm saying. Like, future AEW best ofs, or like, the story of Dynamite, once they closed down and WWE's bottom, and they're doing the rise and fall of AEW on the WWE network on Peacock. Blood and Guts will be there. You know what I mean? It was a special. It felt special. It felt like a pay-per-view. It was presented as a pay-per-view. And, another thing I wanted to kind of give credit to that I didn't in my review, because now I've had the chance to watch Rampage or Dynamite, is that those guys really worked fucking hard in there. Like, they gave it their everything. And, we could tell, like, I knew they did, obviously, just from watching in the arena, but I was higher up, and when you're looking down, you don't catch everything, especially because the way the cage, like the roof on the cage, kind of blocked my view at times, especially in the far ring. We were kind of sitting like on the opposite end of the entrance, so like the farthest ring from the entrance, the second ring, if you will, was closer to me, so I could see what was going on in that ring. Not so much the other one. But it was just such a great experience, and I highly recommend, if you're not an AEW fan or you're on the fence about it, there's X factors to consider, and I think the live event presentation is one of them. It's got a big time feel. It's indistinguishable from a WWE event as far as production value. You're not going to look at it and be like, oh, that looks ghetto or tacky or cheesy or second rate. It's looks like a big deal production wise, and it's just funner. It was a funner atmosphere. It could be just because it was Detroit and because it was such a big show. This is my second AEW show I've been to, and there's less kids than a WWE show. I said this in my review too, but just kind of reiterate, last couple WWE shows I've been to were like boring kids shows, you know what I mean? It was like taking the kids to see Disney on Ice. It was boring. It was kind of lame. Now, granted, I had not been to any hot pay-per-views or WrestleManias, and you can clearly see a lot of those crowds are pretty rowdy, so I don't think that's the same across the board. But it just feels like WWE shows are a little bit more sterile nowadays. And the AEW show is very much like a rock concert. It was just a great time. Highly recommend going to one just to experience it. And it was an honor to just be a part of Blood and Guts, to just be there in person, to see such a fucking thing, to see that spectacle, and all those guys busted their ass. And for not having Punk there, or MJF, or Bryan Danielson, or Adam Cole, or Britt Baker, or all those names, they certainly brought it and delivered a dope show. So just wanted to tack all that on there. And to shamelessly plug that you go watch the other video that I have here on YouTube where I go more in depth about it. Again, that'll be linked right at the end of this clip if you're watching the clip, or at the end of the video if you're watching the full pod. And on to the next motherfucker.